Welcome everybody, my name's Christian Spring and I'm the Research Operations Manager here at STRI, and I'm joined today by Andy Spetch, who works for British Sugar Topsoil. So Andy, just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so Andy Spetch from British Sugar Topsoil. I'm the National Topsoil Manager for the business. I've done that role now for around 25 years, but worked for the business for over 30.
So Andy, can you tell me a little bit why and how British Sugar have got involved in the topsoil and root zone provision industry?
Yes, so with the sugar beet that we buy from the farmers each year, around 7.5 million tonnes, we're getting in around 200 to 300,000 tonnes of soil. That is a waste. We're buying the beet for the sugar, not for the soil. So we looked into what could we do with the soil, and we found markets out there in landscaping and in the sports arena. So we're now recycling those products back out into those markets.
That's really interesting, and I think that's a really critical message for how you can try and create a more closed loop system, taking a waste material, or what was once considered a waste material, having to dispose of it, and now you're looking at producing something which has value and a required resource for other industries, which is a great recycling message. So can you tell us a little bit about the root zone and topsoil materials that you're producing there as a recycled product from your production factories?
So the product we produce for landscaping is called Landscape 20. That's compliant to the British standard for topsoil. It has a total sand content of around 65%, and the remainder is silt and clay. It's a very fertile product, and it's great for seeding and turfing work. For the amenity and sports world, particularly golf and winter games pitches, we produce a product called Sports and Turf. That has a total sand content of 90%, and we're using a much coarser sand in that mix.
That's really interesting, Andy. So once you've produced these products, and as you said, they're recycled waste products, what kind of testing, validation, quality control work do you do on these two products?
So if we go right back to the very beginning, the birth really of topsoil as a brand, as I said earlier, it is a waste, it's classed as a waste, so I had to get product status for our products, so I could sell them in the markets I'd identified. To do that, I had to work with the Environment Agency, and we had to prove to them that what we were doing was recycling. It was going through a process, and what was coming out was safe and fit for the intended purpose. So at the very beginning we had to show them that the soil was clean of pests, of diseases, and also of pesticides. Yeah. Just going back in agriculture, a lot of residual pesticides were used, so we had to show that wasn't carried through. We were successful in that, and we got product status for topsoil as the brand. With Landscape 20, for the landscaping market, we have to ensure the products are compliant to the British standard, which is BS 3882 2015. That standard says that you must sample and analyse every 8,000 tonnes, 5,000 cubic metres of product you sell. We do that rigorously. I do the sampling myself to make sure we're getting a representative sample, so that then the results we get are representative.
And that's a lot of testing that you need to do, but hopefully that gives a lot of confidence in the end users that the product they get is absolutely fit for purpose and optimised for its usage. So in terms of the amenity-based product, the sports-based product, Sports and Turf, what kind of testing have you had to go through for that? Because I imagine there's quite different requirements over and above, say, from Landscape 20 for the horticultural or landscaping market.
Sure, yeah. The sports market was a whole new world to me, one that I had to start from scratch. And yeah, working with your good self, talking to other people in the sports industry, with the Grounds Management Association, I soon learned that you've got to look at drainage rates, especially in that world. That's what people are very interested in, and also the nutritional benefits as well. So the sort of testing I had to commission for that was looking at particle size, and not just the total sand, which is all we'd really look at in landscaping, but in sports you've got to look at the breakdown of the sand, the shape of the sand as well, and the size of those sand particles.
Perfect. And I know we've done quite a bit of work with you on that testing, and a lot of work looking at field trials, for example, and some practical research. What would you say are the key parameters, the key factors for that amenity-based product for use on sports surfaces?
Yeah, I think it's the amount of sand that is in the mix, but it's the sizing of that sand, and it's important. The target we're going for this dressing on winter games pitches was you needed a sand that was predominantly medium to coarse in nature, and STRI helped us tremendously to find the sand. I didn't want to be having to travel hundreds of miles for the sand. I found it locally to where we are in East Anglia, sent lots of samples off to Christine and the labs for testing to identify the right sand.
Fascinating.
So yeah, I think the sand and the sizing is extremely important.
Andy, I know from our previous work together, you've done quite a lot of research work here with us as well, looking at field trials. From top of my head, I can certainly think of one notable top dressing trial, for example. So in your view, what's the value in top dressing, and why is it important to actually get specific research about top dressings?
Yeah, well, the need to get specific research done on it was I needed confidence, both for myself and for my team, to go out to the market with the right messages so we don't missell, we sell in the right way. The importance for a top dressing, certainly in winter games pitches, is to improve the playing surface, can help fill out divots, encourage new seed growth maybe, following overseeding, but also top dressings used to help improve the soil drainage and the profile and structure of that root zone.
Absolutely. I know from the top dressing trial, it was very much focusing, as you said, on does it do the job we hope it will do? Will it break down into the surface easily? How the grass responds to that, looking at dosage rates, how much we're putting down at any given time, and the benefits that the top dressing is providing. And that was a really visual trial with a checkerboard effect, with pale materials, dark materials, and showed absolutely, categorically, that the kind of products and materials that you were looking at would absolutely fit within that remit of optimised for top dressing, which is great. And I know we're currently running a trial for you at the moment, which is located in our greenhouse. It's a pot trial. Do you want to just explain a little bit about what that trial's focusing on?
Yeah, well, customer feedback is something that we really value, and you can learn an awful lot from. And I kept getting comments back from customers, good comments, saying, I don't know what you're putting in your product, Andy, but it grows fantastic grass. So I thought, well, I'd like to know more about this. There could be something in this. Because of the soil element that is in the dressings especially, I wanted to be able to see what benefits that is giving, both nutritionally, but also in terms of holding water. Because irrigation is becoming a bit of a scarce and expensive resource as well.
Absolutely, and from the pot trial point of view, I know we've got a selection of different growing media, which includes Landscape 20 and Sports and Turf, and we're looking at both in a seeded and a turfed context, looking at what happens under sort of extremes of drought, for example, where irrigation is few and far between, and obviously where we don't have very much nutrient being put in, just to look at the relative performance and relate that back to the physical and growing characteristics of those materials. So I think it's really very much watch this space for this continued evolution of these materials. It has to be a dynamic process as part of a continued R&D program, really. So thank you very much for talking us through the R&D that you're doing here and the other testing you do around the country. So as well as the work that you've done here with the research and field trials, obviously an important component is actually how it performs in the field. So have you had an opportunity to install any of these materials at any particular venues? Yeah,
in the golf world, we've worked with quite a few golf courses now, but namely Northwood down near Watford. They've used both Landscape 20 for their bunker construction work and also used Sports and Turf for their tee construction, as well as using it as a general dressing on fairways.
That's fascinating, Andy. So the guys have been building tee beds. I mean, I think that's having known the material and worked with it makes perfect sense. But what's been the feedback from them about how it's performed?
Yeah, I think in the construction they found it very easy to work with, and then when they laid the turf on top, it was difficult for them to get irrigation on a regular basis to this particular part of the course. And they found the growth rates were very, very good with little water, really. So that was the biggest feedback with the Sports and Turf. With the Landscape 20, using that for the bunker construction, they like that because it holds its shape because of the silt and clay that is in there. So they were actually wetting the soil a little just to help create the lip around the bunker, and then turf on top of that. And again, they got tremendous growth rates from the turf they put on top of the Landscape 20.
And hence, I guess, part of the rationale for following on with the research that we're currently running, looking at optimum windows and performance outside of optimum windows for water and nutrient retention. And that's really interesting. Thank you very much, Andy. And I think that more or less wraps up what we're going to talk about today. So thank you very much for coming up to see us. It's been fascinating, as always, to have a chat with you about the different products that you've got and how they've been evolving, and how the research work that we've been doing here at STRI has fed into that process. And I look forward to talking to you more when we have our interactive Q&A session, which is going to be on Thursday afternoons. So for everyone out there, watch this space. We're going to advertise the times and how to get onto it. But we look forward to welcoming as many questions as you've got about any of the talks and the videos that you've been viewing this week. And thank you very much, and I hope you can all join us soon.